You ever have one of those moments where you just stand there mouth half open, brain short-circuiting because you know someone just made the worst mistake of their life? And you don't even have to lift a finger to fix it. That was me, standing in my driveway, staring at the empty space where my Jeep used to be. Karen Mitchell, our charming HOA president, had it towed because, get this, I was parked 6 inches over the line. Not 6 feet. Not blocking a hydrant. Just 6 inches. I should have said something dramatic like, "Ma'am, you have no idea what you just did." But I didn't. I just stood there, quiet, staring at the spot where my Jeep had been trying not to smile because what she didn't know was that she had just stolen federal surveillance property from an undercover FBI agent. Yeah. Let me back up a second. My name's Alex Stone. 3 years ago, my mom Sarah had a stroke. Stress-induced, doctors said. She'd been living quietly in this neighborhood, minding her business, until Karen and her HOA cronies turned every day into a battle. Fines for flower beds, citations for a ramp that wasn't to code, threats over unauthorized paint colors, and all this while my mom was recovering from surgery. I wasn't around when it started. I was off doing contract security work overseas. By the time I came home, she was in the hospital hooked to machines, barely responsive. That's the day I swore I'd never let someone like Karen do that to another person again. Not on my watch. So I joined the bureau. Worked my way into undercover ops, specialized in infiltrating tight-knit groups, gangs, cartels, you name it. And a couple years in, this case pops up: massive money laundering operation using shell contractors, fake neighborhood improvements, all running through HOAs. And one of the suspected hubs. Pine Creek. My old neighborhood. Karen Mitchell's kingdom. So yeah, I volunteered. Said I knew the layout, the HOA dynamics, the kind of personalities we'd be dealing with. Which wasn't a lie. I moved in under a new name ex-military contractor, moved home to care for my mom, totally believable. And I brought my Jeep. Not just a vehicle, but a mobile surveillance unit, hidden cameras, audio recorders, encrypted files, GPS tracking gear, a secure line to HQ. Parked it right outside my house, just barely over the line. Because if there's one thing I knew about Karen, it's that she couldn't resist flexing her authority. Sure enough, 3 a.m., she creeps out in her fuzzy slippers and oversized hoodie, carrying both cutters like she's in some suburban Ocean's 11. My cameras caught everything: her breaking the lock, rummaging through my gear, towing the whole thing to a lot she claimed was for emergency enforcement procedures. I woke up the next morning to a handwritten note taped to my door. It read, "Due to unauthorized surveillance activity, your vehicle has been impounded by HOA authority. Please report to my office." Signed, K. Mitchell. I didn't even need coffee after that. Now, here's where things get cinematic. Karen didn't just steal my Jeep, she broke into it. And while she was poking around like a nosy raccoon, she accidentally triggered one of the wireless audio feeds. So now, I'm getting live recordings of her in her garage, talking to herself, snapping pictures of classified files, and panicking because she thinks I'm a private investigator hired by a rival HOA. Or worse, a cartel. That's when it got serious. She started calling her contractors at 4:00 a.m. code talk about cleaning house, moving the flow, tightening the pipeline. It was textbook laundering lingo. She had no idea every call, every word, was being recorded, uploaded, and archived by the very system she was trying to dismantle. I contacted my handler, Agent Rodriguez. Told him, "We've got her. She's not just laundering. She's admitting it, out loud, into FBI surveillance equipment she stole from an agent. I mean, you can't make this stuff up." Rodriguez just goes, "Tell me you have that on tape." I said, "Buddy, I've got everything." So, I played it cool. Met with her like she asked. She sat behind her desk, smug as ever, like some HOA mafia boss. Laid out my surveillance gear like trophies and said, "You've been spying on my community. I knew who sent you. You're not the first." I played along, acted nervous, a little overwhelmed. Told her I just needed my stuff back and I'd be gone by the end of the day. She smiled like she'd won. That was her final mistake. That night, I called a community meeting. Said I had urgent security intel everyone needed to hear. Karen, still thinking I was scared of her, agreed to let me speak. I walked into a packed room. Neighbors everywhere, some curious, most annoyed, a few just there for the drama. Karen sat front row, arms crossed, daring me to open my mouth. So I did. My name is Alex Stone. I'm a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And for the past 3 months, I've been investigating criminal activity tied directly to this HOA. Dead silence. Karen blinked twice like her system needed a reboot. I pulled out the files. Played the tapes. Her voice. Her threats. I controlled the flow in this neighborhood speech. People gasped. Some stood up. One guy actually shouted, "I knew it." Right on cue, Rodriguez and 2 other agents entered and placed Karen under arrest. Theft of federal property. Obstruction. Money laundering. Conspiracy. Interference with a federal agent. The list was longer than the HOA rulebook she weaponized for years. But the best part. The neighborhood. They cheered. People high-fived. Some cried. One lady told me she hadn't parked in her own driveway in 3 years because of Karen's threats. And now, the fear was gone. Just like that. A week later, the FBI raided Karen's house. Found burner phones, forged invoices, secret recordings of HOA meetings, even a safe behind a false wall with hundreds of thousands in cash. Turns out she wasn't just petty. She was organized and dangerous. She got 25 years. No parole. Tried writing a memoir in prison, betrayed by the community. Publishers passed. Last I heard, she was washing floors for 23 cents an hour and still blaming the world for not appreciating her leadership. Meanwhile, the community rebuilt. They elected new leadership. Created transparency rules. Published budgets. My mom. She's doing better, stronger every day. She even helped plant flowers in the park we named after the neighbors Karen targeted. So yeah. Sometimes justice looks like flashing lights and handcuffs. But sometimes it looks like 6 inches of overpacked curb and one very, very wrong move. Tell me, have you ever had a Karen in your life? Someone who hides behind rules just to abuse power? Let me know below. I'm curious how far these things go. And remember, when someone thinks they're untouchable, all it takes is the right person paying attention.